From a linguistic point of view, the Latin peoples are all the peoples who today speak a language inherited from Latin. This is a consequence of what was, in its time, Roman expansionism. Some languages, like Mozarabic or Pannonian Romance, disappeared during the Middle Ages, but there was one that literally survived until 1898, Dalmatian. What a cute dog. No, not the one spoken by Cruella de Vil's favorite puppies.
Dalmatian, a lo Mexican.
No, not the one spoken by this reggaeton singer either. Are you interested in knowing who the Dalmatians were and how they became the last Latin people to disappear? Alright, then stay until the end of the video. The origin of the vanished Dalmatian people can be traced to the birth of the language of the same name, which was one of the many variants of Vulgar Latin that developed in the Roman province of Illyria, which was later renamed the province of Dalmatia. And where does this name come from? Well, from the indigenous tribe native to this region, the Dalmatai, who were actually one of the many orphans. A vanished people who are today associated with the Albanians. And Cruella's puppies? They're called that because their origin is precisely on the Adriatic coast, where the Dalmatian language held out for centuries even after the fall of Rome. If we're talking about linguistic classification, Dalmatian was a Balkan Romance language. That is, it was a Romance language of the Balkans that had similarities with the current Romanian language. According to some reconstructions, it sounds something like this.
If we talk about linguistic classification, Dalmatian was a Latin language. That is a Latin language of the Balkans that had similarities with the current Romanian language.
If you're Catholic, you already know how to say the Lord's Prayer in Dalmatian. Well, the point is that with the arrival of the Slavs in the Balkans, around the 6th century AD, the territories where Dalmatian remained were progressively reduced to 3 cities on the Adriatic coast. Ragusa, today Dubrovnik, Zara, today Zadar, and Belia, now the island of Kres. In the first 2, the Rabusano dialect was spoken, and on the island, the Beliota dialect. Due to their geographical position, we can say that the Dalmatians developed a culture deeply connected to maritime trade. And you might wonder, how did they manage not to share the same fate as the other extinct Romance languages that disappeared during the Middle Ages? The answer? It can be summed up in the Republic of Ragusa. In 1358, the Republic of Ragusa became independent from Venice, a major maritime power in the Mediterranean. It turns out that this small country, which was established as a European microstate, centered on the present-day city of Dubrovnik, was founded by a Dalmatian elite who really knew how to play both sides diplomatically. They traded with the Venetians while at the same time paying tribute to the Ottomans in exchange for protection. This, along with its impressive walls that once served to deter enemies and nowadays to film Game of Thrones. The great epic fail of this elite, which although it made efforts to make Dalmatian the official language in the country, the majority language was always Croatian, spoken by the rural majority who migrated to the city center in search of new opportunities. Likewise, Venetian was the language of maritime trade, their main economic activity. So the incentives to learn or maintain Dalmatian were practically non-existent unless you were part of the elites. Thus, Dalmatian fell victim to a gradual cultural assimilation by Croatian and Italian. It is estimated that the Rabusan dialect disappeared in. Even the elites had to switch to Italian or Croatian. However, the Beliota dialect spoken on the island of Kirk lasted a couple of centuries longer thanks to its geographical isolation, which protected it from Slavic influence. But this didn't last forever. In 1898, while Spain was losing its last territories in the Americas to the United States, Tuoni Budaina, the last documented speaker of Dalmatian in its Peliota variety, died. Fortunately, just a year before his sudden death, the linguist Matteo Bartoli had an interview with Tuoni, which allowed him to document Dalmatian before it died, along with its last speaker. In this way, the Dalmatian people became the last Latin group to disappear, although their memory remains alive in geography, in those four-legged furballs, and in popular culture.
Dalmatian made the Latin disappear.
Well, questionable culture.